welcome to the Sports Podcast.
I like that. Do that.
Welcome back to the second episode of the now named Yinzers from Ohio podcast. I'm Carson
Not a big fan
McCandless.
of that name. We might be changing it at some point in the future.
Maybe. And this is my cousin,
Cole
McCandless. So let's get right into it, and we're going to start with our top 5 quarterbacks for the Steelers going into next season.
Yeah, so these are going to basically take into account what it would cost to get them, like the negative effects that would come with getting a guy, whether it be cost, trade cost, or like salary cap hit. So, it's not just going to be like Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Patrick Mahomes, we're getting crazy, I don't like. Yeah. It's got to be reasonable.
Yeah,
it's taking
Rodgers
everything into
obviously
account.
Might be available, so we could put him on this list, but it's obviously going to cost a lot, so you want to factor that in.
Yeah.
So why don't you hit it off, Cole?
I've got two. I know it's top 5. I've got 2 honorable mentions, because they're really close to getting on my top 5, but I'm not going to have them on. Those are Kenny Pickett and Jimmy G. I'm kind of souring on Pickett a little bit over the last week or so. It's not all the hand size thing, which is a little crazy. That he's in I don't even know what the 5th percentile in NFL history of hand size. The last successful NFL quarterback that had 8.5 in chance was Michael Vick, which is
pretty good.
Vick had a cannon, and he could do a lot with his arm. So yeah, how big of a deal is it really? I don't know. Probably not that big of a deal, but it's just I don't know. I don't love the energy around him. He just doesn't feel like people gravitate to him, and he doesn't have a super great arm strength. It's a lot of things. I just think he's kind of I think at best he'll be an average NFL quarterback. I think we can do better than that.
I think
worst case scenario. Yeah, worst case scenario. Maybe that's why it's honorable mention. Jimmy G. I've actually kind of come around to this a little bit. I think the Niners would have to take on some of the cap if we trade for him, but he's really not that bad of a quarterback. They've shown that they can win with him, that you can win with him, and
we'll talk about Jimmy G a little bit more in depth a little later because it did make my top 5. So.
Okay. So I'd be willing to maybe give up a 4th for him. I don't think I'd go higher than that. So, and I think he's $20 million cap hit. So that's why he's not on the list, because although he's a good quarterback, I think there's guys on my list that can do what Jimmy G can do for a fraction of the price. So you want to go ahead and you can start with your 5th if you don't have any honorable mentions.
My 5th is actually going to be Aaron Rodgers.
Okay.
I put him on the list purely because of how talented he is. Back-to-back MVPs. Me and you both ranked him number 1 in the previous episode for quarterback in the league. And he's just insanely good, but he's going to cost a lot. I think the going price I heard somewhere. Who has the 9th overall pick? Is it
Denver? I think it's
Denver.
Going price two firsts, a second, and that's just kind of the trade package that's been floated out there. Who knows really what it is? No one really knows.
Yeah, so we'd have to give up obviously our first, probably our next first, and then a second and something, because Denver's first round pick this year and second round pick this year are worth a whole lot more than ours. So if we were to get Rodgers, it would be a lot. But I think, if we get Rodgers, our offensive problems are almost instantly fixed, other than the O-line.
Yeah,
so,
I think they can do stuff to fix that. But I'm not
I think we'd instantly be title contenders. But then also he has a humongous cap hit.
So, I know. That totally screws everything else up. If he wants $50 million, there's just a lot.
So then you'd have to figure out how you're going to fix the O-line with $5 million.
Yeah.
Which isn't going to happen. So there's just a lot you would have to do. But I had to put him on the list just because he's the best quarterback in the league. And there's a small chance we could possibly get him. So I think it's realistic enough. So that's why I have him number 5.
My 5th is Gardner Minshew. It's a name that kind of just popped into my head earlier that I haven't
I
heard a
love
lot
me
of
some
buzz
Minshew
about,
mania.
but I think, I mean, he's never really had bad tape. I really don't understand why, teams are so low on him. He went for a six to the Eagles and then never played, but I mean, if you look at the numbers, I mean, he takes care of the football. He can win you games. I mean, he wasn't in the best scenario either in Jacksonville. I mean, his numbers were undeniably better than Lawrence's in like the same scenario. So I think you can win with Minshew. I think he takes care of the football. He gets you to like the bottom line. He can do
Yeah.
what Jimmy G can do. Just take care of the ball, rely on a good running game. Um, and I think he has some
I didn't
upside too.
even
I mean, he's
think of
still
him.
young. So I
Yeah,
mean,
he's
and I think
incredibly young. He did great with a terrible roster in
I
Jacksonville. I
looked.
mean,
He has one more year under contract on his rookie deal. His cap it's 2.5 million. I think that's less than
jeez, that's
Rudolph's.
nothing.
So
That's nothing.
yeah, I would be willing to throw a fifth at the Eagles, and I mean I don't see why they wouldn't want to trade him. Because
I
I
mean, they've
mean
already
I don't.
got
Yeah,
their
they've got their
starter
guy.
next year or
They've
two.
got their guy. So that's my five.
Yeah, I completely forgot about Gardner Minshew. I'm a little annoyed with myself with that because he's one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league. I love his mustache and I love his playing ability. He's got pretty much exactly what we need. I mean, he's not going to be great. He's not going to come in and he's not going to be an outstanding quarterback, but that's not what the Steelers need. We have a great defense. We have amazing running back. So we just need someone in to be a game manager. I think he could do just as much of that as Big Ben did, and some of these other
Oh
quarterbacks
yeah,
can
I
do,
think
like
he
you
would be an
said.
upgrade over Ben last year.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, he did really, really stinking well with a horrible roster in
People sleep on him because
Jacksonville.
he was an undrafted pick, and he's like, oh, small school guy. He's never really gonna amount to anything. But I mean, people I think kind of view him in like the same light as like Devlin Hodges, like, but he's a lot better than that. He's a good player.
Yeah. Although I love Duck too. He's not a quarterback in the NFL, that's for sure.
Stuck,
But I love
stuck on your top four.
him. Yeah, he's number one for me actually.
That's my other honorable mention.
Duck Hodges. Yeah, I love Minshew. He's on my list. I don't know where I'd have to redo my list, but he should definitely be on there. I'm annoyed I forgot him. Yeah.
All right, what's your four?
My four is Malik Willis. I'm not sure if I'd want him to start the first half of the season, but having a guy who could potentially be an amazing quarterback on the team would be amazing. Obviously, I, if we do get Willis, we might get a free agency guy that would be starting, or it might be Rudolph starting the first little bit while Willis comes up to speed, because he's not the brightest guy, but give us some time to get up to
Okay,
speed, and
that
then
sounds terrible. That sounds terrible. He, he's not the best at reading defense, is what you mean. He's actually
yeah.
interviewed really well. People like him, like very
Yeah, I'm
likable
not. I'm
guy.
not. I'm not calling him an idiot.
You
I'm just saying.
that was the worst way to phrase it. He's not the brightest? Really? He's actually, I don't want to understand, like really smart and like. Yeah, so actually, Willis was my four as well. Kind of have the same sentiment. You'll see later where he falls on like my Steelers big board for this draft. Uh,
Yep.
he is my top rookie in this class, and I think I'd be okay with the Steelers taking him because I think he's got that upside. He's got really good traits. I think the Steelers would be in a good place to develop him. We kind of talked about that
Hmm.
last episode, but I still personally would prefer they go the veteran route and address other needs in the draft.
Yeah, I love Willis. It's just the pure potential you have with him. One of the bigger arms, great accuracy, and then you got the running ability. It's just an incredible collection of talents that he has. So having him on the roster would just be great. So what's your third, Cole?
So we haven't actually shared lists with each other. We're totally surprising each other with
Yeah.
this. So you might we haven't really talked about this name a little bit, but my third is Carson Wentz. You on your
I don't
list?
know about that one.
I
No, he's not.
I think Wentz is still like a top 20 for sure, borderline top 15 quarterback. I think I think Wentz has a lot of good. People are getting on him too much for the stupid Jacksonville game, which it kind of was inexcusable, but I, I really like Wentz. I think his upside is really high. When he's at his best,
Yeah.
he's a really good quarterback.
Yeah, he's probably
And
top five-ish. At least he was during his MVP campaign before he got hurt. He was incredible that year.
yeah, basically he won't cost anything to trade for, and he'll be free to sign with anybody because they're saying they might cut him. So I
Yeah.
think he would be a little bit expensive. I don't know exactly what his cap hit is, but I like the upside that you get with Wentz, and I think he can give you plus play from the quarterback position. So
Yeah, I've
I'd rather
been.
have him than Willis. I'd rather have him than the rookie. I think
I,
people are too low on Wentz. He's better than his numbers were actually really solid before that last game.
I might be a little bit low on Wentz this year. I liked him last year. I think, you get him like the Colts did, get him a pretty good situation, see what he can do. Because I mean, obviously, he has incredible talent. He proved that uh, the year that Nick Foles took over. But it's just I don't know. I don't see him. I don't see him in Pittsburgh. I don't think it's. I think there are other options that the Steelers are looking for, and I didn't really think too much about Wentz, but yeah, he did okay. He did okay. He wasn't as bad as he was the year before, and he wasn't as good as he was the MVP campaign. And I mean, as two extreme ends, so of course he's going to be in the middle of
Yeah.
them. But it's just I don't know. I just didn't like it. I mean, you have one of the top two running back in the league with Taylor, and you can't beat Jacksonville.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh, it just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. So that's why I'm staying away from him. All right. My third is Jimmy G. I like him. I think a lot of people are really low on him. I mean, he has an insanely the biggest thing about Jimmy G is he had probably one of the best rosters to work with in the 49ers organization, and he stunk the bed a couple times. But I don't know. I like him. I've always liked Jimmy G ever since he was in the Patriots organization. I just liked him, and he went to 49ers, did really well those first couple of games, got hurt, but he'd be really cheap to trade for. I heard a fourth is the asking price. I think he's definitely worth a fourth. He's worth a second in my opinion, but it's the
Oh
contract that
gosh,
comes
yeah,
with
I would
him.
not trade a second for Garoppolo.
It's yeah, I wouldn't either, but I think talent-wise he's worth a second because he's
I mean,
a
maybe if you're,
average, maybe slightly below average quarterback in the league
yeah,
right now. I mean, amongst starters.
the
Amongst
situation is
starters.
probably driving his value down because there's so many solid free agent quarterbacks available.
Yeah,
But yeah,
but
if
I
your
mean, like,
back was against the wall, I guess a second's not the
it's
worst. But
just his contract is just stinky. I don't like it. It's bad. It's all around bad.
yeah,
It's not as bad as like Aaron Rodgers, obviously, but you're not getting the skill of Aaron Rodgers, so it's kind of a middle ground. But I like him. I think he'd do great in Pittsburgh. I think he'd be a very big upgrade to what we had in Big Ben last year. And it's just that contract sucks. But I mean, he's going to be cheap too to trade for.
so here's the thing. I kind of disagree with you. I don't think I trust Matt Canada. He has one of the best minds in Shanahan in San Francisco and the
That
best weapons too.
that's a very good point.
You're putting Garoppolo in our system and asking him to I don't even win on his own, throw the deep ball. I don't know if he can do that. Like I mean,
Yeah. I
I
see
think
where you're coming from. He
he
has one of the
looks
quickest triggers as a quarterback, though. He
yeah,
just, which would be really good for a subpar offensive line
which
like we have.
kind of fits into what we were trying to do last year, quick passes,
Hmm.
RPO stuff, which personally I kind of hope we start to get away from. But in that scenario, yeah, he wouldn't be terrible. But I think his appearance and his numbers are inflated because of the situation he was in. We'll see though. He is a solid veteran quarterback, but
Yeah, that was your third.
no, my third was Wentz.
Oh yeah. All right. My second is probably your first because you absolutely love this guy, but Winston, Jameis Winston. I know you're a big Jameis Winston guy, so I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah. You just want me to talk about Winston?
Yep.
The Jameis Winston hate is undeserved. Okay. This guy is legit. I remember seeing comparisons a couple years ago after he threw that 30 interception year. I know it's a different era than when Manning was in the league, but his numbers are eerily similar to Manning's first 4 seasons in the league. Winston's first 4 seasons to Manning's first 4 seasons. And he did seem to turn that corner last year. I think he only played in like 8 games, but I think he threw 14 touchdowns to 3 picks. Totally changed the way he played the game. He's not a loose cannon anymore. He took care of the football, turned the ball over
And that's
very
important.
little, and everyone hangs on to that 30 interception season. But this dude was he the first overall pick? He was one, right? And Mariota was two. I'm pretty sure. This is a super high pedigree guy who I think still has a lot of upside, and I think you could get him fairly cheap, like $15 million a year. You're telling me who would you rather have, Jameis Winston or Garoppolo? I'd rather have Winston. I think a
Yeah,
lot of
I'd
people would
rather have
probably
Winston
say
too.
Garoppolo.
I think he's going to be more than 15. I think that's the problem. I think a lot of guys.
Even I'd be fine
Uh,
paying 20. I mean, you go from what well, I think Ben's cap hit was 20, but this year once he took the pay cut, but he was being paid like 40 some before that. So I mean,
yeah.
Winston can win you games, and I think also he helps the development of the receivers because he's not afraid to air it out. I know I said that he's like not a loose cannon, but he still has a good deep ball,
Yeah.
and he does cut down on the turnovers. But his deep ball is for sure better than what Ben's was the last couple years, and I think that's what a big thing that hurt us. But I really like the idea of Jameis Winston. I just
Yeah.
think you take care of that. You sign him. I think he's has the highest floor of anybody in free agency this offseason in terms of quarterbacks. I think he elevates the offense and the receivers specifically. Hopefully Claypool the most because I think he's the
Mhm.
biggest X factor that we need to kind of work on developing.
Might
Um,
actually throw it up to him.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah. I think the biggest problem with him when it comes to getting him is that I think a lot of other teams are going to be looking at him the same way you are and thinking, man, this guy could really be something. This guy could really hop on an organization. And we're going to start a bidding war. And then if we're going to get him, we're going to have to overpay. And I
We'll
think it's
see.
going to be fairly expensive to get him. I mean, yeah, I could be wrong. He could come out and only want like 12. And in that case, I'd be 100% willing to pay that for him.
We'll see.
But
Something else I've been thinking about lately is we've been hearing this offseason about how much will players be willing to sacrifice to play with Tomlin and Flores?
yeah,
Two guys that are very attractive to play with, and we'll see if that has any effect. We might come out and sign a couple, big name free agents that took pay cuts to play under those guys. So we'll see if that's a factor. I mean, Winston did. I think he signed like a vet minimum deal to play in New Orleans last season, like 3 million or something crazy. We'll see if he's willing to sacrifice money again, but yeah, we'll see how much he's going to be going for. I don't
I think
know.
that's the biggest question. I think his playing ability is there. I think he can
Yeah.
make this offense a whole lot better than it was the past couple of seasons.
Two biggest
But it's
concerns I've
just
heard with
how much.
Winston are, oh, he doesn't take care of the football, 30 interceptions, blah, blah, blah. I get he had 30 interceptions. That's a lot. He also threw for 5,000 yards that season and 30 touchdowns. And it wasn't with the same Tampa Bay team that Brady had. Brady brought in a bunch of guys to play with him. So,
Yeah, Brady tends to have that kind of effect on teams. People want to play with
yeah.
him.
Another concern is the ACL. And he is coming off an ACL. That is a little bit concerning. But from what I've seen and from what I've heard, he's recovering ahead of schedule on that, and I think he'll be fine.
Yeah, but ACL's scary, especially since Devin Bush hit an ACL injury, came off, and he was
The
not good
only
this.
thing that would make me a little weary of Winston is just that he's not the most mobile guy. He can get out of the pocket, but I think like even Mason Rudolph would be like more mobile than Winston. Like he's just not really a guy that you know scrambles too often, and I think that's something the Steelers are looking for.
Yeah,
But we kind of skipped ahead on my list to get to Winston. But my two was Mitch Trubisky,
That
who
was my one.
I'm guessing was your one. And similar to Winston, they're kind of in similar situations where they've had, rocky starts to their career, but are still fairly young. I think Winston's 29, I believe, and I think Trubisky's 27. Trubisky's interesting because if you look back, he actually had a pretty solid record in Chicago in a horrible, horrible situation.
Yeah,
Matt
defense
Nagy
was
and all
always
that
pretty good, but
mess, and yeah,
the
and he
offense was
actually
just
showed
non-existent.
some potential. He had some stretches there where he played pretty good football,
Yeah,
and
fourth quarter Trubisky was incredible. Some of those games.
yeah, he's a high pedigree guy. He's interesting. I don't really know what to think of him, but I've heard that the number floated out for him is like kind of like a 2-year, $15 million deal with incentives, which I think would be really favorable to the Steelers.
Yeah,
And
that's
I
that's
think
the
he
main
would.
reason I like him. I think he's got a lot of possible upside. I know we said that about a lot of guys, but
Here's the thing, Carson. Winston and Trubisky, they have the opportunity to chase the most money. But
mhm.
say the Giants throw $20 million at him, and the Steelers throw 15. I don't know if people would want to go to New York and like ruin their career even
Yeah.
further, or go to a situation where they have a very good chance to revive their career. Very stable organization. I think it's
Mhm.
gonna have some appeal to these guys, and I think we could, you know,
Yeah, but the Broncos also have a really good team that they're
that's
mostly
true.
missing
They
their
seem more willing
quarterback.
to
So that's
go
that's
all
the
in on a big guy though,
yeah
so we'll see.
yeah
Which
yeah
I don't
that's a
think the
that's a
Steelers will
big
do.
question mark. Is our fight with Denver here for free agent quarterbacks. But yeah, I really like Trubisky. I think he was just absolutely screwed in Chicago. I think Matt Nagy ruined him. I think he's still got potential, and I think we can get him on the cheaper end. Like you said, 2 years, 15 with incentives. I would 100% go for that. I mean, he'd probably start with Forrest, and who knows, maybe get Willis or Pickett or some other guy, or maybe we wait a year because we can see what we have in Trubisky. But
Yeah, I would not.
that
If you sign Trubisky, I 100% would not draft a quarterback in the first this year. If I'm signing Trubisky, I'm trying to win the next 2 years, and I'm not doing
yeah,
that
same
with
with same
also.
with Winston.
Yeah, yeah. If you sign those two guys, do not take a quarterback. I'm thinking you let Trubisky play out that contract for a couple years. Worst
Hmm.
comes to worst, who cares? You get your quarterback in a couple years. But I think he'll give you a better chance to win than we've had with Ben the last couple years, and
Yep.
it allows you to have resources to upgrade other positions.
Yep. Exactly.
So my top three guys are all free agent signings. Your top three guys were two, right?
Yep.
Well,
Trubisky,
other than
Winston, Jimmy G.
Garoppolo, yeah, which you have to trade for, but he'd be pretty cheap to get.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're both in agreement that drafting a rookie this year is probably not ideal, not the ideal way to
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. I don't mind Willis. I'd like him, but I think they're just better options in free agency to go after. Trubisky and Winston, obviously. I think getting one of those two guys would be great for us. All right, so the next topic of discussion we're going to do is our uh, big board for the draft. We're going to do a top 20 because the Steelers pick at 20. So that someone will be there at 20. And this isn't just all the prospects who do we think is the best. This is all the prospects who do we think is the best for the Steelers. We're putting ourselves in the GM position of the Pittsburgh Steelers come draft day.
Yeah, this is Steelers specific. So the way it works is number one would be who would the Steelers take if they had the number one pick.
Yep.
Number two would be who would the Steelers take if they had the number two pick and the dude that was taking number one is gone. So you kind of go through in that order, like who would the Steelers draft if they had each spot in the
Mm-hmm.
draft? It's just like their overall player rankings. It's probably what they do as a team, just have ready ahead of time. So then when you get there, you just check off whoever's taken, and then highest guy you take. So that's probably the way they do it. And so Carson and I kind of made our own, and it's kind of stemmed from a discussion we had the other day. And I think we're going to have some disagreements in this one.
Yeah,
But
quite a few.
how would the Steelers value different positions if they picked higher in this draft? So we're going to run through 20 through 1, each of us, and it'll kind of give you a summary of all these possible prospects the Steelers could take.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I, I,
You want to go through a couple guys who missed to begin
yeah, I was
with?
just gonna say I had 21, even though it's 20 again. I just felt like 21 was Pickett. I feel like I should throw him on even though he didn't make my 20 because I feel like he deserved to be mentioned. But what this does mean is if the Steelers do not trade down, I do not think there should ever be a scenario in which the Steelers should select Kenny Pickett in this draft.
Yeah.
I just don't think he's one of the top 20 guys. I kind of talked about it in the previous segment, so I don't want to repeat myself, but I think you can do better, and I just think his upside is really not that high. I don't think he's going to be a great NFL quarterback, and if he's not going to be that, then I don't think it's worth wasting a first-round pick on him.
All right, yeah, I had Pickett missing my top 20 as well. I don't think he's going to be one of the 20 best players for the Steelers. I had a couple wide receivers missing it too. Jameson Williams, Olave, had Wyatt was on the outside. Karlaftis was on the outside, the edge rusher. Just, I don't know. I think there's 20 better players here. So, Cole, why don't you tell me who's 20th?
It should be interesting because a few of those guys you just listed are on my top 20. So,
Yeah.
20, I had Trevor Penning. You saw some videos of him from the Senior Bowl of him just manhandling guys, but I've kind of had some time to reflect on that and see some more stuff on him, and he probably is the fourth best tackle in this class.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, there was a clip of him. He just grabs a dude and throws him into his own quarterback's knees.
Yeah, I watched that.
And I'm like,
that
man.
was something. I mean, you gotta love the hatred going on because you love to have that mean streak in your offensive lineman. But geez, oh man,
Yeah. And
you don't want to take your quarterback out for a season.
A lot of those might be called holding, and I don't know. Like, I know Dale Ollie really liked him when he was at the Senior Bowl. So, I mean, he is at 20. I'm thinking this is worst possible scenario if you're at 20.
Yeah. I had him on the board. I like him. I think tackle's one of our biggest needs, and I have him actually up at 16. So 4 off. It's not too big of a jump, but he's on my lower end deal.
Who was your 20?
My 20 was Garrett Wilson, the wide receiver. I like him. It's just we don't need a high-end wide receiver up all the way up here. I think that'd be a waste of a first-round pick to get a wide receiver. We need just like 1 or 2 more bodies at the wide receiver position, but there's much, much bigger holes. If you go back to the previous episode, wide receiver was my 4th need. I want to be filling my 4th need with my first pick.
19, I had Devontae Wyatt. I think he's right up there. He's kind of getting overlooked because of his teammate, Jordan Davis. But this dude also had a really good combine, and there were actually people before the combine that preferred Devontae Wyatt to Jordan Davis. He's just a really solid interior defensive lineman who's going to come in and be able to help right away. And, I don't love the idea of drafting a defensive lineman if Tua and Alabama are coming back, because I think you can wait a year to do that. But it certainly wouldn't hurt, and it wouldn't surprise me to see the Steelers do it, just how much they value stopping the run and how much they value the defense. So I could definitely see the Steelers taking a defensive lineman in the first round, but me personally, it's not my first choice.
Yeah, I like Wyatt. I like what you were saying about him getting slept on a little bit since Jordan Davis has shot up the boards because he did have a good combine, like you said, and he should be coming up a little bit too. But I'm just going to use the same excuse I used for the other guys. I think there's better guys out there for the Steelers to look at.
Yeah. 18, I had Garrett Wilson. Where was he? You're 20 or 19?
Yep. Yeah, he was 20.
Yeah.
19, I have Trent McDuffie. I've heard a lot of good. Okay, that's a lie. I haven't heard much about him, but the one thing have read on him from PFF. I'm just going to read their little report they have on him here. He said, outside of length, McDuffie has everything you could want from a high-end quarterback. At only 5'11", McDuffie plays consistently bigger than his listed size, and he's allowed only 16 catches from 36 targets for 111 yards with no scores and 5 pass breakups. So that's pretty good. And if his really only question is his height and length, I'm not too worried about that. I'd be pretty happy to upgrade our quarterback room, so I have him. Him there at 19.
Who was your 18? I guess I told you mine was Wilson.
Yeah, mine was Drake London. I've come down a lot on him. He used to be my wide receiver 1, but he is no longer. Marcus put out a good video of him. I might put it in the description if I remember. But uh,
Yeah, he's really
yeah,
just
he's
not
he's slow.
fast. Yeah, he just
And
dies.
you'll see guys shoot up the boards when they put on like a 4.2 or a 4.3 in the combine. So, oh, this guy's fast. I mean, look at the speedster that went to Oakland. I can't remember his name for some reason.
Rugs.
Ruggs, yeah, he wasn't he the first wide receiver off the board
I
instead
he
of like Judy and all them.
I
He
think he
was like
was.
really
I
high
think
up
he
there
was.
purely
Yeah.
because of his speed,
Yeah.
and so that's very very valued. And another thing, when I was just looking at some of his tape and his highlights, I mean he's got some great hands. He's got a great ability to go up and grab the ball, but every single time he's doing it, there's a guy within a foot of him. He has like no separation. That's another huge thing in the league. So the question is, can his game translate to the professional level where he's getting no separation and he's not fast enough to really get that separation.
Yeah.
But
Great
he
contested
just has a lot of
catches.
talent, which is why he's still on there for me. But it's just not as much
All
as I
all of
want.
his highlights are like contested catches and just him going up and getting over guys. But yeah, he really just looks pretty slow. I just
Yeah.
doesn't jump out to me. He is not on my list. 17, I had
Wow.
a Chris Olave, Wilson's teammate. They're just right there, 17 and 18. I don't really know how to distinguish much between them. They're both explosive guys, fast, and they were
Mm.
both on the 4.3s. I wide receiver is actually like my sleeper pick for the Steelers to make in the first round. I think if there are guys taken, I could. They always like to draft receivers somewhat high, and I could see them doing it if they really
Yeah, they
fall in
don't
love with a
usually
guy.
do it in the first though. It's usually second or third. Which
Yeah,
again I wouldn't mind. I mean we took Sky Moore in the third in our mock, but it's
but
just
when you only have two receivers under contract, I
yeah,
could
it's
see
just
them
not a
taking.
need though. I mean it
It
is a
is a need.
need. It's not an important need. Not important enough to spend a first on. So all the wide receivers are pretty low for me. All right, 17 for me was your favorite wide receiver, Traylon Burks. I like him. His hand size is incredible. I know that's one of the main reasons you love him so much. But wide receiver, that's why he's lower. But I'll go ahead and let you talk about a little bit about Burks since you love him so much.
I'll talk about him when I get there.
All right.
We got a while to go until we get to him.
Oh
For me.
gosh. All right. I guess we'll take a little break on Burks there.
16, I have Nakobe Dean, the linebacker out of Georgia. I think linebacker is it's a pretty big need. What do we have? Do we list it in our video? I don't know if we did,
Yeah, I think
but
we did. I think we talked about him and Lloyd.
him and Lloyd are two guys that they could definitely have their eyes on in the first. Don't know much about him, but just he was the leader of that really strong Georgia defense with Davis and Wyatt, and
Yeah, a lot of guys from
yeah,
Georgia's defense coming into this draft. Yeah. Kobe Dean was pretty high up for me. He was up at like 10. I like linebacker. I think linebacker would be a pretty good pick for us because it's really Bush and a bunch of backup quality guys, and we need another. And Bush really wasn't even that a starter last season. Although I think that's more due to the ACL, and I'm hoping he comes back and really starts playing up to his potential again. But I think a linebacker could really help our defense out. So he's up. I liked him. He's up at 10.
okay, stop. Don't you're gonna spoil your whole list. If you say where you had your guy every time I talk about him. Who do you have at 16?
16 I had Penning.
Okay,
We talked about him.
yeah. 15 for me, I had Jordan Davis. Had him lower actually when I first started this list, but then he ran the 4.78, which is this man is 341 pounds. He is
Oh my
6'6"
gosh.
and 3/4. This man is an absolute giant, and I've never seen anybody that big run that fast. I think Jarvis
It's
Landry ran a
scary.
4.77. Okay, he ran 1/100th of a second slower than a wide receiver. His teammate Devontae Wyatt doesn't get talked about. He ran a 4.77 too, and he's 305 pounds. I mean, the Georgia guys are freaks, but there were questions about whether Davis could rush the passer, whether he was quick enough, fast enough to do that. I think those answer those questions. I highly doubt he'll be there when the Steelers pick, but definitely
Yeah,
wouldn't mind.
he's shot up my board. I had him because he was just one of those guys who were like, yeah, maybe we should take him when it comes to our pick. There's other stuff we're looking at. I don't know, maybe. But after that combine, I mean, geez, oh man, I hate to move guys up based solely on combine stuff because tape's more important because that's what they actually showed in games. But I mean that's stupid what he did in the combine. That's incredible. So he shot up pretty high in mine. I'll get to him when I get to him, but yeah, I love him.
Yep. Who do you have at 15?
I had Kenyon Green, the
Okay.
guard,
Yep.
big guy. Could use some guard help.
Yep. He's
He'll
one of the
answer
guys we
that.
talked about last episode. Just really solid prospect. Should be able to come right away and play. Kind of seems like a can't miss guy. 14, I had Devin Lloyd, the other linebacker. So
Yeah,
he and Dean are pretty
I really
close.
like Lloyd. I
Yeah.
actually really like Lloyd. He's a bit of the Devin Bush guy where he's fast and he can cover. So which I guess is not part of Devin Bush's game, but he's he's not as much of a big run stuffer. He's a
He,
little bit more of a cover guy.
yeah. His 40 time was actually pretty slow. It was like 4.7. It was a lot slower than people thought he was gonna run. So
Yeah.
I don't know what to think about that exactly.
Looked
He
faster
looks
on tape.
faster on tape for sure. So maybe don't put a
Yeah,
ton of
I,
stock
I
in that.
really like Lloyd. I'm with you where I like him over N'Kobe Dean, but a lot of guys have Dean first. I like Lloyd a little bit more, but I don't think either of them are gonna reach us. I think they're gonna get picked a little bit earlier on.
I think they will. I think I think there's a good chance both will be there.
Really?
Yeah. I see very few mocks where N'Kobe Dean is taken before 20. And I see a lot of them where Lloyd goes like to 21 to the Patriots or something. So we'll see. I think it's 50-50. I think you'll have a shot at least one of those guys, but I'd like, there's going to be other guys in this list that are above that I think will still be there that we will
I mean, if
have
they
the
fall to
opportunity
us,
to take.
I wouldn't be against taking a linebacker, like I said about Dean.
Yeah. Who do you have at 14?
Malik Willis. That's where he comes in for me.
Okay.
So it's a little low, just because best quarterback in the class, one of our biggest needs quarterback. He'd fill that nicely, but like we talked about when we were going over the free agency quarterbacks, I'd rather have a free agent quarterback this year. Build up
Yeah.
our offensive line a little bit for a rookie maybe next year, or if Trubisky or Winston really shows out. But
13, I
yeah,
had
Willis
Kenyon
comes in.
Green. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, not really touched on that. Who do you have at 13?
13, I have Thibodeau.
Okay, man, our list is actually going to be pretty similar. I thought we
Well,
were going to have these huge
let's see.
disagreements. Well, it might change top 10, but a lot of these guys, I mean, I'm really close.
Yeah.
Slightly different order, but
So Thibodeau, it's just talent. We don't need an edge. We don't. But there's just undeniable talent. You can't let him fall further than 13. I had him up higher
oh,
originally,
I
but
agree. I
there's
mean,
a couple
worst
couple
comes
guys
to
I like.
worst. I mean, you've got a guy who's like top 3 pedigree. He's only fallen because of questions about like his motor and stuff, and how much they really want it. But like he's got crazy tape, really good bend, really good pass rusher. I mean, you pair him with Watt and all these veterans on defense and let him learn under them. I mean, it would be crazy. I mean, we're never gonna get the chance
Yeah,
to pick
he's
him,
he's
but
not gonna fall to us, but
I just I kind of disagree with you a little bit. He is. I mean, he's right up there. I got him at 12 too. You had him at
I
13.
really should have him higher. But there's just some other guys that I
Yeah,
really liked.
but I think the Steelers are gonna value, and I personally value positional needs a little more than you do in terms of like
Yeah, I
talent on
don't.
the
I
top
think
board.
I think one of the biggest things you have to do, and I think something that the Steelers have done for a
Well,
while,
they're
is
not
take
going
these
to
best
draft an edge
players.
rusher when they have 2 very good edge rushers. Like Highsmith, he's only done with year 2, and he just had a very solid year 2. I think he's going to be better, and I think the Steelers think he's going to be really good. You just paid TJ Watt a ton of money. I can't see any scenario. That's why, I mean, I'll just spoil it right now. I got Hutchinson at 10. That's my top edge rusher. Just because at that point, yeah, the talent becomes so undeniable that, yeah, okay, I would take him. But I mean, I'm taking all our big needs over him.
Yeah, and then there's also the question of, do you play him at outside the linebacker or do you play him at a 3-4 edge? Because he's definitely an edge rusher, which a 3-4 edge is not. 3-4 edge is more of a guy who takes up blockers and plays a little bit of that, but I don't think Thibodeau or Hutchinson would be work too well as an outside linebacker. Maybe Hutchinson. But
Who's your 12?
12th was Zion Johnson. He's the best guard in the class for me. He's better than Green. He'd fit a hole real well. I have him up pretty high.
Yeah,
But
crazy athletic.
he is a guard, so that's why he doesn't break my top 10. But he's good. He's a really good player.
11, I had Malik Willis. I think he's the only quarterback in the class. Said this many times already, but I think he's the only guy really worth taking because I do think he's going to turn out to be solid if he gets in the right situation. He's got really good traits, really good character, and great arm. We kind of saw
Yep.
that in the combine. Extremely athletic, built like a running back. I mean, this guy can be good if he gets in a good situation. So, but I don't think he'll be there when the Steelers pick. I think his stock's rising too much. So I don't think there's anything we really have to argue about too much. But
hmm
yeah, that's my 11.
11 for me was Jordan Davis. I hadn't come up really, really high after that. Probably might be a bit of an overreaction, but I liked him before, and then that combine, and now I love him. He's up
Yeah.
really high for me. I think if he's there, you pretty much have to take him.
Then I had Hutchinson. Told you about that.
Yep.
He's a little bit more polished than Thibodeau.
Mm, yep.
But I mean, he tested really well too. Both those guys did. They're gonna go really high, probably top 5. Hutchinson for sure top 5. He's kind of seen as the better prospect right now, but
Yep. I like Thibodeau, but because he might have a little bit more physical assets than Hutchinson. But I mean, you look at someone like Jadeveon Clowney coming out, who was a raw prospect, but he was an incredible prospect.
Thibodeau
He
actually
just
compared
never
himself.
showed
He's like, I'm Jadeveon Clowney 2.0,
Yeah.
which is just kind of
Yeah.
funny. Like Clowney really didn't turn out to be that great, so it's kind of weird
Yeah,
he's
you hope
comparing.
you hope he's a bit better than Clowney
Yeah,
comes
it's
out
kinda
of it.
weird
But
he's
like coming out of the
comparing.
draft, yes, he's Clowney
Yeah,
2.0.
yeah, yeah,
But you just hope that he can actually learn some new moves, put those moves to use, and not just rely on pure strength and speed, which he has
yeah,
plenty of.
yeah. Who's next on yours?
Number 11, oh no, not number 11. Number 10, I had Nakobe Dean, linebacker, and number
Okay,
9, I
wow.
had Devin Lloyd,
Wow.
linebacker. So I have him
Okay.
pretty high.
Yeah.
I like him, and and like I said, linebacker, I think is a really good sleeper pick for the Steelers to take at 20. And if they're there, really gotta have to think about them.
Number 9, I had Zion Johnson because I do not care that he's just a guard. I actually am starting to think that the Steelers really should take Zion Johnson at 20 because I think he will be there, and I would be thrilled with that
I
because
think
he's
he'll be there
extremely
too.
athletic. Plug him in, play him, fix the 5th-year offensive line, and I think he's really solid. I mean, I think I've seen him really high on other people's boards, just general boards, not even just the Steelers. So I think he's a really good player, and I would love to have him. Not a flashy
Yeah,
pick though.
to make a small comment about what you said about you not caring that he's a guard. For me, when it comes to offensive line, I think you have to build your 2 tackles and your center. I think those are the 3 most important positions on a line. Your guards can be mediocre and still have a great line. I
Yeah,
mean, it's nice to have a great guard,
it's part of
obviously,
why you
but I
don't
think
see
the
guards
most
go
important
super
position
high.
is tackles. Yeah. But I mean, obviously, I mean, I have him at 12. I think he'd be a great pick, and I think he will most definitely be there.
Yeah. Number 8, I had Treylon Burks. He cracks my top 10. This man
That's way too
has
high.
no, it's not. This guy has Debo Samuel comparisons. Ran a 4.5, a little bit slower than I was expecting, but he models his game after Debo Samuel. Can be used in the running game. Really good after the catch. This guy has custom 4XL gloves made for his hands. He's got 10 and 3/4 inch hands. DeAndre Hopkins has 10.1 inch hands, and he's known for having huge hands. This dude has hands that are almost 3/4 of an inch bigger than that. I mean, you watch his tape, he can go up and get it over guys. He can run away from guys. I mean, I think he'd be great at pretty much any team, but it's someone that the Steelers could really use to kind of open things up. So I think he's my wide receiver 1 for sure, but man, I'd be fine with him at 20. I'd be fine. He probably won't be there, but we'll see.
Yeah, like I said, you're a big fanboy of Burks, but I just think the wide receiver need's not really there. I know you say we only got two guys right now, but I
You
think
can
we
always use receivers. Look
might
at the
get Juju
Bengals.
back, and I
Bengals
think
had
we get someone
Higgins and
later on.
Boyd, and they still drafted Chase. I'm not saying
Yeah,
this guy's Chase, but I do think he's the
could be.
best in the class.
Yeah, I think he's the best in the class too. I just don't think the need's there. I mean, and we've had such a good track record of taking guys in the second and third and fourth round, so why not just keep doing that?
Yeah. All right. Who do you have at 8?
Eight, I have Linderbaum.
Okay.
I think that he's obviously a lot of people are mocking him to the Steelers because it's a great fit. We need the center. He'd be great, amazing, but I mean he's not the a top guy, top guy in the class. But he's a really good center. He'd be the best center. I forget who it was. Someone tweeted and said that he's projected to have a similar effect as Humphrey did last season, and he's already one of the highest rated centers. Humphrey.
Yep.
So he'd be great to have put him in on the line, start day one, forget about it.
Yeah. Who are your 6 and 7? I can kind of. I'll talk about mine because mine are kind of paired together, but
Seven is where I had Hutchinson. I think
okay.
he's incredible talent. I
It's
think
not
if
okay.
he,
You've kind of warmed on this because the other day you were telling me, "Oh yeah, I'll take Hutchinson 1 if the Steelers at the first pick."
yeah,
You kind of cooled down on that, but
yeah, no, that I wouldn't take him one. I mean, it's just you can't pass on him, kind of thing. But
so 7 I had Derek Stingley and 6 I had Sauce Gardner, two cornerbacks. I see them very close. Sauce Gardner's a little bit more polished, more consistent. Stingley's more athletic, got more tools. And I actually didn't love what I heard about Stingley until I saw a clip of him on Twitter this week guarding Jamar Chase in practice a couple years
yeah,
ago, and just like locked him up. And nobody can guard Chase, even in the NFL right now. I mean, Ramsey couldn't even do it. So I think if you get Stingley healthy and
Ramsey
in a
did a
good
pretty good
system,
job in the
it
Super
just
Bowl. But yeah, there's a lot of problems with Chase.
worries me a little bit because Steelers don't have really any success developing guys that have good traits at the corner position. They
Yeah,
really haven't developed many corners at all, other than Mike Hilton's really the only one I can think of that really has panned out. Cam Sutton maybe, uh, but really like what I saw from Stingley and these two guys. I mean, Sauce Gardner didn't allow a single touchdown all of college, all of his entire college career. I mean, he's
yeah.
crazy.
What more can you ask for
He's
from
just a
a corner?
pure cover corner, not a good tackler though. But I think he's a guy that could come in right away and really help the defense. So I'd be thrilled with Gardner or Stingley really.
Yeah, six. I had Gardner with you on that one. I actually like Stingley a little more. Had him up at four.
So wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Uh,
I really like Stingley.
5 I had Linderbaum, so
Okay.
I had him pretty high.
Yeah, I don't think he's has the fifth best skill
For
set.
me personally, I
Class.
still prefer that we could take Linderbaum and just be done with Kendrick Green. I don't think the Steelers would have him anywhere near this high on their board, but I do. I think he's kind of seen as like a can't miss guy too, along with those guards. Just a pure center. He's not like Kendrick Green where he didn't play center at all. He's been playing center,
Yeah.
you know, his whole football career, and he's very good at it. Doesn't have very long arms, which is kind of a weird thing.
Yeah,
And
they're
he
shorter than
also
Green's, aren't they?
and he also is not very big. So, but I think he'll put on weight. I think he'll be fine though. He's a really good player. So, I would love to have Linderbaum. He's top 5 for me.
Yep. Number five, I had Cross, Charles Cross, the tackle.
Okay.
Just
I think
solid tackle prospect. What more could you want from Cross? He's a solid guy.
I think
Start
our
him day one.
top 5
Dan
is
Moore on the
actually
left.
pretty similar. Yep. 4 I had Kyle Hamilton. Uh,
Mm.
I uh, I think he's a really good player. I just there's 3 top offensive tackles there, and I think if the Steelers had the top 3 picks, they would be looking at tackle 100% over replacing Evans, who I think they like. I know he's good. Is he a generational player? I don't know. but
I think
I
he
would
could be.
I'd rather take the tackles than
I understand where you're coming from with
Hamilton.
that, but Kyle Hamilton's incredible. He's incredible. I, I'm gonna go ahead and spoil the rest of my list here, just so I can talk about it.
God, if you have him at
Wa-
one,
I have him at 2. I wanted to
okay,
put him at 1, but I have him at 2. I have Eknaku at 3. Ikwanu, sorry,
yeah,
at 3. It's again another amazing tackle. Hamilton at 2. Evan Neal at 1. Evan Neal's just the perfect tackle prospect. There's a chance he could go at 1. Don't think so. I think it'll probably be one of the edge rushers, depending on who they like more. But he's Evan Neal's a great tackle. They're all good, and I agree with you. The Steelers are looking heavy
he
at that. But I think
carries 337 pounds better than anyone I've ever seen. Do you see the video of him shirtless, or the clip of him shirtless? The picture?
no, I haven't. You'll have to
They
send that
compared it
to
to
me.
Vince Wilfork, who I mean, Neil is like 6'6", so he's big. He might be 6'7", actually. 6'6", 6'7", 337. Vince Wilfork, I think, was like 6'2", 325. Wilfork's got this giant gut. Neil's just like got no gut
Yeah,
at all.
I
Just like
loved. I always
straight
loved seeing
muscle,
pictures of him.
like trim, like man. But he's big. Like he's not a small dude. 337 pounds. That's a lot of pounds.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a really good prospect. He was one on my list too. I'll just go ahead and say Charles Cross was 2 for me, and then Ekwonu was 3.
Okay.
Uh,
I think Ikwanu and Cross you could pretty much interchange who you'd want better. It depends on the system. I like Ikwanu.
yep.
But yeah, Kyle Hamilton, incredible safety, and I think I like what we have in Edmonds, but obviously, this is at the very top of the list. We're obviously not going to get Kyle Hamilton, but
Yeah.
let's say you do, and Kyle Hamilton's just incredible. Insane talent. He's too good to pass up. I'd put Edmonds. You can maybe even try Edmonds at a linebacker role if you get a star safety like Hamilton to play. But yeah, this is all stuff that's not going to happen. So I'm not going to dwell on it.
Man, I thought we were gonna have our first big argument, but we actually turned out to be pretty similar lists.
Yeah, once I started putting it all together and thinking about it, I'm like, this guy would be great for That's just. But yeah, I like the Steelers have always picked talent over positional needs in their history, and I think a lot about drafting is finding a good balance of this guy might be better, but we really need this guy right now, and you just got to figure out the effect of your actual needs. And yeah, I've come down from where I was a couple days ago when we first talked about it, and I hadn't put any true thought into it.
Yeah, so that's gonna do it for episode 2.
Yep.
Looking ahead, we might have a couple special guests on. Got people lining up to be on this podcast.
I don't know why.
I think we should change the name back to Sports Podcast. Sports Podcast. All right. Catch you next time.
Yep, thanks for listening. Any questions you have that we could talk about during an ending segment would be nice. Just make sure you put them in the comment section. Just any questions you have for us would be a good little ending segment we could do. So yeah, thanks for listening. That's it. We're out.